Why is Meursetti Strong? By me. Welcome to Why They're Strong. Why They're Strong is a mini-series I'm going to be doing to dismiss the misconceptions and inaccuracies people in the PM fandom love to say about an ID strength. This video series was originally inspired by someone in my comments rage-baiting about Meursetti not belonging in the top 7. While the idea of this series is created out of spite, I want to go in-depth and explain things I love regarding IDs and arguing why they deserve to be this strong. Or, in one particular case, I'll say I wish they were nerfed. I'm not always going to cover top tiers though, don't worry. I hope this will help you to consider why an ID is strong rather than trying to slander their usability just because you don't have them. Why aren't you doing good ego design? I don't want to. I think talking about an ego themselves with no real purpose is kinda boring. IDs are much more interesting to me as I want to get into the team building aspect for one. And you're not necessarily team building for ego besides fueling them or making them synergize / uplift some IDs due to their additional passives. They're interesting, don't get me wrong, but talking about them alone is not. Feel free to make it yourself if you want to, I just don't want to. I don't think it would be fun for me as the team building aspects of this game are my main draw to Limbus. Subscribe for more videos like this one. The Prince of La Mancha Land Meurseau. Released on October 23rd, 2025, Prince of La Mancha Land Meurseau, which we will call Meursetti, is a Blood Fiend lifter ID that was released in the middle of the fucking Rupture season now, that improves practically every quality of the Blood Fiend team. So much so, he's in the top 2 for Blood Fiend IDs as of right now, completely replacing Princess Rhodia. Now, you might ask, why is that? Why is Meursetti considered so strong? Why did Bleed, notably one of if not the single most strongest teams in the game to build around, get an amazing support a season later? I actually don't have an answer for that last one. I don't think Meursetti was necessary, but I'm glad he's here nonetheless because it makes my Bleed agenda easier to push. Anyways, let's get into my reasonings. Hardblood Armor. Hardblood Armor is Meursetti's unique resource that's directly applied to himself and other allies, which ally varies depending on the skill, but typically does prioritize Blood Fiend / La Mancha land IDs. Hardblood Armor allows up to 40 HP for healing, though that gets lowered to 20 with Lust Resonance. However, with Lust Resonance, you do not lose Hardblood stacks at turn end, which is borderline insane and easy as hell to manage considering you're on a Bleed team out of anything. You might find it to be a struggle to apply Hardblood on allies due to skills priorities seeming a bit all over the place, but there's actually a solution to this. Hardblood builds up on Meursetti himself to change the skill 3-1 to skill 3-2, which allows it to hit 2 extra enemies, deal plus 250 max damage, apply 3 Hardblood armor to 4 allies if less res, and benefits off his other effects which we'll get into later. Giving your allies self-heal on top of their self-heal is amazing, but that's not even the craziest part of it. He can fucking unstagger his family. Hardblood Armor actively unstaggers allies when they are staggered, once per stage per identity, if met at the cap of 5 Hardblood Armor. Considering how Hardblood Armor's application actually allow the Blood Fiends to heal upwards of 40 HP per turn, on top of Princess of La Mancha Land's excess healing going to them, yeah, now what the fuck? With Meursetti, every Blood Fiend becomes a self-healing, anti-staggering tank! The armor part in Hardblood Armor really needs to be emphasized more because this genuinely allows Priest Gregor's 1 stagger threshold to be a thing of the past. This allows every fiend to keep being active despite the damage they're taking. I could just talk about this and end the video, but there's somehow more. Lust damage upskill. La Mancha Land Parade. Fucking sure. Unique type of Lust Fragility that can give up to plus 40 damage when hit by Lust skills, or plus 80% when hit by La Mancha Land ID skills regardless of Sin Affinity. Sure, why not? Do I even have to explain how borderline insane it is to have Sin Affinity damage buff that's separate from Sin Affinity Fragility? On top of that, specifically for Lust, Bleed Sin Affinity? Yeah, I don't have to explain how fucking crazy this is, and he can apply it to multiple enemies at once and has it on both of his skill freeze and has it on both of his skill 3s regardless of conditionals. This also lowers an enemy's damage to La Mancha land IDs. What more can you fucking ask for? Who cooked this meal? Imagine if on top of this he inflicted less fragility. Wouldn't that be crazy? Meursetti gives a use for a Vav. Meursetti's sin affinities perfectly correlate with Yearning Merkala, his first Vav ego that wasn't used for a season because the few other bleed Mers didn't really benefit off of it. Yearning inflicts Rose Wedge, a status effect linked to both bleed and blood feast that can generate up to 40 blood feasts and deal 100 less damage at max potency. Yearning can be utilized on stagger foes to force trigger bleeds similar to Manager Don's skill 1-2 or KK Ishmael's skill 3. However, this is dependent on less resonance for a 3 times maximum. It's definitely something to consider if you're able to keep up a bleed stack. Majorly overhyped how hard it is, considering turn 1 in fight you can get 16 plus count for a bleed stack. Not to forget to mention, on top of all this, the support passive is pretty nifty for additional bleed potency affliction that will work alongside Rose Wedge well and just self-healing a bit off of bleed damage. On top of all this, besides one Wrath resource that Manager Don can easily make up for, Meursetti feels majority of Rodian's Sanguine Desire. Oh my god, we're still talking about Hardblood armor. Max stack Hardblood armor on La Mancha land allies grants some focused performance, which provides skill 1 and 2 with +1 final power, and skill 3 with +2 final power, including enhanced skills, which buffs every La Mancha land identity's damage by 15% max on top of that, while also getting more damage and clashing value overall. Did I forget to mention Meursetti himself will inflict 1 La Mancha land parade on enemies on hit when utilizing his passive with focused performance, just for fun? The only way to lose a stack of focused performance is by utilizing skill free or by not having Hardblood armor. Since Hardblood armor can easily be maintained by Lust Res, all the good Blood Fiends can easily utilize their defensive skills or skill 3s, as all of the good Blood Fiends defensive skills / skill 3s are Lust. Is Meursetti really that good? Despite how objectively dogshit some rankings on the Great Limbus Library's tier list is, Meursetti is among the best of the best, and it's objectively correct to say that, but even a broken clock is right twice a day. Don't get me wrong, Great Limbus Library is an amazing resource for data, but not a good resource for gauging an ID's strength. Meursetti uplifts one of the most broken status teams in the game and goes toe-to-toe with Manager Don Quixote in terms of how good he is. He enhances everything that makes bleed teams fun and adds power to La Mancha land IDs, which, being honest, they didn't fucking need at all. I really can't emphasize enough how well off the Blood Fiend bleed team was before him, and now it's just even better. I guess having a modern usable bleed mirror is a good thing, so I'll never complain about his addition. He's great. Works on his own, supports already insane IDs, and benefits off the strongest part of a bleed team. Meursetti is good. I wanted to end this video so fucking badly, but he literally buffs one of the best healers in the game. You can't make this shit up. That's all the time we have for today. Didn't even mention his rolls. They're good. 16, 23, 26 clashing with conditionals are super easy to upkeep, and that's not even including focused performance. Thank you for watching my first installation of why they're strong. I plan to have some fun explaining more IDs and their effectiveness as time goes on. Anyways, have a good day, be good people.